I think the president-elect scored a win today. Judge Aileen Cannon, okay, that's a federal judge he appointed, kicked out the Jack Smith case, saying that he was not properly put in position, that he needed to be passed through the Senate, and he wasn't. Now, Judge Cannon ruled that she will block temporarily the public release of special counsel Jack Smith's final report until the appellate court reviews the litigation. Smith's report was expected to be released on Friday, lays out, the evidence that Smith collected against Trump and his allies in his 2020 election subversion case and the classified documents case. So, did the judge make the right call? Should the report come out, and why? Perfect guest. Former Attorney General under President George W. Bush, my friend and mentor, Judge Michael Mukasey. Happy New Year again, Judge. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
So, what's your assessment?
Not a major win, number one. And I don't think she blocked or purported to block the whole report. I haven't seen her order. But the only part that relates to her is the part that relates to the case before her that's still alive. That is the one against the two co-defendants, which has not been dismissed, or certainly has not been dismissed by the Justice Department. That's on appeal. Walter Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira. They're still possibly defendants in that case. And she blocked release of the report because if the 11th Circuit reverses her decision and says that Smith can proceed, then she believes that releasing the report would prejudice the jury pool. And therefore, she's protecting the jury pool against that kind of information.
So you're okay with the ruling?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with the ruling. It's a question about whether she's got jurisdiction. I think she does.
So the jurisdiction would be maybe not on Trump because she dismissed that part, but with the co-defendant.
Well, certainly not. I mean, there's no case against Trump.
Right.
But there is a case with regard to the co-defendants. Right. And it's the report, that part of the report. There are two parts of the report, the January 6th part and the classified documents part. That's the part her order relates to.
So then technically, the DOJ could still release the report redacting or removing the portions that relate to the two co-defendants?
Conceivable. Yeah.
Now, would you, if you were the DOJ?
There's no, what's the point? We've
Transparency?
Transparency?
Must you show such complete contempt for what I say, Judge?
It's not a question. I don't feel contempt. It's, all of this has been out before. The special prosecutor is required by the regulations to file a report explaining the charges that he brought, if possible, the charges he didn't bring, if there were such, and the basis for both. We've seen this litigated over and over again. What's the point of releasing a report?
So you think there's nothing in the report that
we haven't seen?
Yeah.
Correct.
Then what's the point of the report?
The point of the report is, not necessarily in this case, but in other cases of other prosecutors that have received a lot less publicity, to show that they've done the job they were essentially commissioned to do.
So so then why is Garland playing at the idea that he may release the report? Why isn't he saying what you're saying?
I don't read his mind. I can think of a reason.
Give me one.
That he'd like to rain on Trump's parade when on the eve of or concurrent with his swearing in.
So how do you balance the equities of the people's right to know and preserving the integrity of an incoming presidency with a case that is no longer active?
Not a question of preserving the integrity of an incoming presidency. If the point is to create another story that will compete with the story of his inauguration, then that's not a reasonable purpose, I think. But so I'm certainly in favor of transparency. And the Attorney General said that he would release any part of the report unless there were parts that should not be released publicly, in which case he wouldn't release those.
Now I want to ask you something else.
But the point is that the Justice Department has already dismissed the January 6th case.
Yes.
The classified documents case still exists only with regard to the two defendants who were claimed to have helped the main defendant. And the cases to him is gone.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.